You ready? Meeting come to order.
Yes, good morning, board members and guests and staff and official Happy New Year. Welcome to the new decade. And, this is also Board Appreciation Month, and we officially do that at our regular board meeting, which will be on January 21st. And so this will be a regular board work session. However, we do want you to know and acknowledge we appreciate everything that you guys collectively do through your civic duties and supporting our school and school community. And so thank you for everything you do, and we look forward to celebrating that next Tuesday. To start off our meeting today, I'd like to introduce Ms. Janice Hernandez, who's going to lead us in our invocation, and then she's going to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiances.
Dear God, we thank you for the opportunity to come and gather together this day. We ask for your hand of blessing on this meeting. We ask that you would guide and direct our meetings so that it is full of wisdom, productivity, and respect for one another. Thank you for helping us to accomplish our work and our goals this day. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. And so, Mr. President, we have 3 items of information, and I'm also asking for what I hope is a short closed session for a personnel item. And if you would allow us to do our first agenda item as they go to closed session, then we'll come back out and do the next 2, if that's okay.
Okay, the first thing on the agenda is construction.
Yes, sir. Today with us, we have a couple groups. We want to come back to you. I know for the previous brown bag, we kind of introduced Phase 3 of Southwest High School and also our Natatorium projects. And so today, just going to give you a brief update of where we are. It's more high level than the last one. It's looking at pricing. Today with Southwest High School, I'm going to turn it over to Rafael. He can introduce the groups.
Yes, hello everybody. Here to present Southwest High School Phase 3 update. We have Pfluger, we have Andrew with Pfluger, as well as Eduardo, and Mr. James Sines with CanCon.
Good morning. How are you? Thank you.
I can do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you. How are you?
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Dr.
Morning.
D, Mr. President, board members, and senior staff. I'm Andrew with Pfluger Architects. As Rafael mentioned, we are here to just quickly present a design development budget update for the renovations at Southwest High School, Phase 3. So we'll get right into that. This is a pretty short presentation, but we've got some good information for you. So you may recall where we last left off that we had split the scope of this project into 2 what we call priorities, which were then developed into what we call base bid and alternates. So we've organized these in a very similar way just to kind of refresh your memory. But the priority 1 or base bid scope, which is the infrastructure upgrades, classroom upgrades, and restroom renovations, at the DD design development phase is now tracking at a $14.5 million budget dollar item. That is actually down from the last item, which I think was around $14,750. So just as an update. The priority 2 items, which we identified as alternates, which include all of the 6 items below here, they are actually tracking at about $2.4 million for a total of $16,928,000. So what we really wanted to bring to your attention today on the next page is that we were originally tracking our budget against a number of $14.5 million, which was the advertised budget that was given to KenCon when we brought them on board. The total bond project budget for this project is actually $18.2 million. And after we had some conversations with facilities, it was determined that after all the design fees, ADA, materials testing, etc., that's associated with this project, we actually have a construction budget of $16,708,955,000. So what I've done here is try to give you an idea of how that all works together. If you look at the third number, which again is the actual construction budget for this project, and you compare it to the total for priority 1 and 2 work, we're actually only about $219,000 short of what our budget is right now. And so what that means is that we would like your permission to move forward and actually absorb what we call the alternate scope into the project as base bid, which means that we would go ahead and price everything that we've talked about. Just to kind of reiterate, all the infrastructure, classroom upgrades, restroom renovations, and ROTC, choir, the art, Cyber Patriot, the door hardware, and the CTE building re-roof. We'd like to include all of that in the scope and go ahead and continue to get that price by KenCon. And our hope is that, again, we're at the 50% CD level, so we're hoping that this number will actually go down to where we need it to be and be within budget for this project. With all of that said, that was really what we wanted to bring to you today, and I would love to answer any questions you have to further explain where we're at.
Great.
Yeah, I know. So we didn't cut anything out
No,
to
ma'am.
get to
No,
that.
as a matter of fact, what we're saying now is that everything that would be something you would have to consider adding money for the last time we met, we're thinking we can actually afford that within the actual budget for this project. Now, again, we are tracking about $200,000 short, but we're at 50% CD. We've given KenCon the set actually yesterday for pricing, so we will have yet another pricing update, and we're hoping to see that number go down a little bit more as we continue to develop.
50% what?
50% construction documents.
Wow,
Looks good to me.
that's awesome.
So how sure are you of that?
Well, I'll look
That's
this
what I
way.
said.
Yeah. What?
So actually, that's a great question. So one thing I do want to mention is that we have what are called contingencies in the budget for this project, and those are actually adding up to a construction contingency and owner contingency of about $1 million. And so that number we feel is going to absorb any unforeseen costs. We're trying to put our best foot forward when we put these documents out and be more and more complete as we go, leading to 100% construction documents. So we feel very confident that we can get this number within the budget that's actually being provided for this project, and we'll continue to verify that as we go.
Anybody? Go ahead. Somebody had a question.
I'd like to add too that, as we work with our consultants, it's the same team that we had for phase 2 and phase 1 work. So there's a lot of familiarity with what we've come across in previous phases, so.
That's
If
good.
you're short, just pull out a Ken and Michelle's budget, so don't worry about it.
There you go.
I would echo
Yes, sir.
Andrew's comments. I think we're pretty conservative, so we're fairly confident.
Yeah.
The risk is on the MEP side, the infrastructure upgrades, that's the biggest component. Most of the unknowns are in that area. And so, once we get a little further along in the design, we should be able to eliminate any of those uncertainties. The plan B, if you will, would be if the number comes in at what we're currently projecting, that we have a small value engineering exercise to try to bridge the gap. And still get mostly the scope components that you want, to try to find some savings and finishes.
I don't like that
areas
exercise.
might help bring it back in.
Or we could talk about not value
Correct.
engineering.
Correct. We'll bring the options. Well,
Right.
that'll be a decision the board will make,
Okay.
so we'll give you options.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys.
Did you hear that, Rusty?
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good job, Russ.
Brandon.
We have anything else on construction?
I thought they were going to go in closed session. So for the next update, we have Greg Houston with Marlon Mock and also Rusty Metlin for the Natatorium project update.
No pressure.
Yeah. So it's gonna go a little different.
I bet.
Rusty who?
Rusty,
Rusty Medlin. It's like the ghost of Christmas past. No, I can tell Rusty's beloved around here. Just not sure why, but thank you. We have some information. We're in a little bit different phase of the project than the report you just saw. We've written a program and we're in concept, site concepts, building concepts, but we have put together some estimates in order to help you all decide about the scope of the project and some major items. So when we wrote the program, it was a desire to have two pools, two bodies of water, primarily for temperature in the water and some different programming that would happen in the water. So the program was written that way, and we've carried two pools forward as we look at the cost of the project. In the base budget, the competitive pool was what we call a stretch 25-yard pool, so that you could swim competitively and dive in the pool. And then there was a warm-up instructional pool. So we looked at different configurations, including a 50-meter for the competitive pool. We've discussed this with staff, and based on the variety of configurations that you can do for swimming, you can just get more swimmers in the water to practice and compete. So we would recommend, if possible, to go with a 50-meter pool. And then seating, if you go with a 50-meter pool, the seating is appropriately sized. Instead of 500 seats, it would be 750 seats. And so that's also a recommendation if budget allows. The base budget, to make your original budget, was 500 seats. So this would be an addition to that if accepted.
So I want to kind of stop there so you don't know, so we're transparent. For us to be within budget and have two pools, we would have to have a 25-meter stretch pool and a second pool. That would get us within budget. But through our research and investigation and going and looking at other pools, we couldn't hardly find anywhere in Texas that they had a 25-meter yard stretch. And going to different natatoriums and seeing how a meet is run, a 50-meter is what we feel, based on all of us, would be the recommendation to do. That would put us over budget. And so we want to be upfront with that. But that would be a recommendation, because you're going to, down the road with our competitions and as we grow, we don't want to have a pool that won't meet the needs of the district and then we have to start from scratch. And so just wanted to say that, because that would put us over our budget, making that recommendation. And so
By how much?
about, what would you say, you have total number?
It's about 4.
About 4 million. That puts us at a 50-meter, and then, but at the same time, you mentioned we have to actually move the seating because the pool's larger area, and so that would put us at least at $4 million over budget.
Okay.
How much did we find on that last project? What were we thinking on that one? We were gonna be,
2.4.
okay.
So where's that gonna come from?
Well, that would have to come from fund balance, sir. If we pull that up.
Well, we had figured going into fund balance anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had discussed that it was gonna be over budget regardless, but.
And I will say this, we have other projects, but we're going to really work hard, just like we did with phase 3, to figure out ways to be within budget on the other projects. And at the same time, I will say this, we put about 7 this past year with some things that happened in the fund balance. So our fund balance has actually grown quite a bit this year. So we do have some room to navigate, but I'll bring you on numbers at the next board meeting just so you can see fund balance and then possible things that are happening in the future that may need to be from fund balance, so that you'll have all that data so you can make a decision. No decision has to be made today. It's just this is conversation, but at some point we have to get direction, because we're so far in design now that we need to design the pool. So if we're going to do a 50, I think we're going to lose the design at 50, Mirtha, those type of things, and so that's what today's kind of about.
Good. So there are 2 pools, and maximum flexibility is in the 50-meter pool and the instructional warm-up pool. It would be a configuration similar to what you see here. And then, of course, the cost on the overall project, the site cost won't change if the pool's bigger, and the support spaces, the locker rooms, those won't necessarily change. It's just when the pool grows, it's advantageous to have additional seating. So those are the 2 items that we've identified, and staff asked us to look at that as part of the concept and the cost. So we
The
did.
increased number of seats is the same for either approach, is that right? Or is Or does it take more infrastructure, more building to hold the more seats?
The room has to grow for the
Okay.
pool.
Is that included in that 4 million?
Yes.
Okay.
And the support spaces would be organized around the pool, and you would have a deep end to the pool, regardless of the size of the pool that you have. You would be able to dive. So, and then to the point about the numbers, yes, both of those items, the enlargement of the pool to 50 meter, as we see on the budget revision page, and the increase in spectator seating are part of the 4 million. And what we've shown here on this page is it would increase, working with Joris, it would increase the construction costs by 4 million, but there are additional costs to the project too, the permits and the fees and all of that. That would bring a total project cost to 4.5. Total project cost to do those two items to 4.5. And it would revise
Where did the half come from?
additional costs associated with fees and permits and other items that would be part of the project scope.
That's different than what you were gonna do anyway?
No, because we pay based on a percentage, and so as you grow your project budget and work, that's gonna go.
So it's the contractor and engineer's
Correct.
fee,
Correct. For designing this pool and this, the amount.
but when you say fee, you're not talking about building fees and that kind of stuff.
Well, some of it is permit. When the building is larger, it will charge you more for a permit. The larger it gets. So some of it's in there too. When the building's larger, we're probably going to drill a couple extra holes for geotechnical just to make sure we're covered. That's also in what we call the soft costs. So there are some other associated costs with it, but we want to make sure that we're reporting all of the costs to you.
Questions on, and that's just, that's going to a 50 meter, and that's concrete with the 750 seats expansion.
That's concrete what?
That's a concrete pool. That's if we were doing concrete.
Okay.
The 4.5 million is if we're doing concrete?
Concrete, that'd be a concrete pool.
Chihuahua, how much is it with the Murtha?
That's what we're getting into now.
About another.
It's getting worser and worser.
So good.
So we have two other options for you to consider then, and we were asked to look at these and price them. One is we're calling option A, is to upgrade the construction from concrete to a Murtha pool. And it's actually concrete and plaster. We're going to show you the costs for the construction of the project, but we're also going to show you the life cycle costs associated with the two types of construction. And that'll increase your understanding about how much it costs to take care of it, and that's over a 25-year period. So the costs you see on the screen now are, again, total construction costs, and then the soft costs associated with that.
Could you just back up a little bit? Let me
Yes.
just digest that a little bit.
Okay, just jumping ahead to the very end, what, if we're gonna need, if we wanna do a Murtha pool, what are we over budget?
5.6, almost 6. Right?
$6 million?
5.6 million. Because it's another 1.1 for Murtha. But there's some data that they're going to show to kind of demonstrate some of the cost savings because of a Murtha that accumulate over time.
What is the total? What does that bring the total install cost to?
Total install cost?
You mean like the project cost, the total? The total.
Total project cost, if you did the 50-meter pool with the 750 seats and a Murtha pool, that would be $26,750,000. That's option A.
That's what you're looking as option A, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
What did we build, what did we ask in the bond?
We asked for 18, but then we were getting 4 from the city. So that's where you see our project. So we're about right at 21 is our bond project budget. That's what we have from the city and what we got from the bond,
21.
21 million. And so that where you see 21 to 26,
5.5.
yeah, 5.5.
How did we determine that we would only need that much? I mean, why didn't we include more?
Well, the biggest part of this is that if we want two pools, right? So the original preliminary
You should have talked with
looking at when we were creating the bond is that we're going to build a natatorium with one pool,
They didn't do enough.
maybe just a 50 meter, that was going to be concrete. And now that we got into like, it came out that we want two pools. So we were trying to figure out how to fit within budget, but that means sacrificing the bigger pool. So
One of the things we learned was we're really big in Swim America and getting our youth into pools and being safe around pools. And the one large pool was going to put those kids in colder environments than what they need to be in. That was the option of the second pool.
What's the guarantee on what we're talking about on that pool?
On the Murtha pool?
Yeah.
It's a 25-year warranty on that pool.
And what is the difference versus the other?
So I'll go through a few of them. Please ask questions as you have them, but I'm going to
Isn't
go
the
through.
Mercer overall
That's the better choice though, isn't
and,
it?
and he's going to
better
show you why.
maintenance wise,
Correct. And that's
heating-wise,
that's the data he's going to bring to you right now.
correct.
storage wise, I mean, everything.
Yeah.
Probably looking at all that.
And it is more, but over time, you're going to save money. And so just to clarify the difference in the construction, there's a structural concrete shell, and it's installed in a couple of ways. It's either formed up or they spray gunite. And when you do that, it's a structurally sound pool, but it's concrete. And all concrete will experience some level of cracking. The Murtha pool, as you see on the slide, is a pre-engineered paneled system that's sealed. And it's manufactured primarily in controlled conditions in a factory, brought to the site and assembled with trained technicians. So there's a difference in its construction. And that's why you're going to see a difference in the warranty between the two. So there's a lot of numbers up here, but I just want to go over a few of them to illustrate the point. In fact, I think I'll start at the bottom line. And the bottom line is over in the right-hand corner. And you see on this chart that we've got if we have a 50-meter pool and an instructional pool, we have two bodies of water, and then we total those up. And on the left-hand side are life cycle costs relative to maintenance. And if you total those up over 25 years in the blue numbers towards the bottom right, you see the concrete pool will cost you about $1.2 million to maintain it, and the Murtha pool will cost you significantly less. And the reason, and I'll go over the reasons. And then the 25-year warranty on the Murtha pool has some reporting requirements. There's the 25. So you just have to keep track of your maintenance of that pool. It's a reporting requirement. Bottom line, it costs about $1 million more over 25 years. Now, this pool is going to be a 50-year project. We just ran this out 25 years to illustrate the point that if you invest that $1 million today in getting a Murtha pool, you've paid for it in maintenance costs over 25 years. That's the illustration here. You're going to save on chemical consumption. We can talk about the reason for that. You're going to save on resurfacing the pool, which is the biggest number. It's recommended and actually experienced in the field that if you have a plaster on concrete pool, you're going to replace that plaster in that pool about every 6 to 8 years. So that's about 3 times in a 25-year period. And the cost of that for those two pools is about $275,000 just to replace it one time. So if you have to replace it 3 times, it's 3 times $275,000. On the Murtha pool, you have a liner, and Murtha will warranty that for 25 years. But let's say at worst case, you have to replace it once. Okay? It's going to cost you $98,000. So that's why we put these numbers in here, and we're very conservative. We think you could be better than $1 million in recoup of costs, but just to be conservative, we think $1 million invested today, or $1.2 million, is going to reap the benefits. So that's a recommendation. you have a budget, and we understand, and we're going to work to that budget regardless of what you decide to do. And that's the dollars and cents side of the construction. There are some other less tangible items that deal with the cost of construction. For example, in a MRTA pool, it weighs less than concrete. So when you put a foundation down, the foundation, we're probably going to see a little savings in the cost of the foundation because the MRTA, if you do a MRTA, the MRTA pool weighs less. The MRTA installers go through a rigorous training program, and so the engineers and installers with MRTA are probably in a training program more stringent than a lot of concrete workers. Concrete workers are great, they do a great job, but concrete is a very malleable material, it can move around a lot. MRTA has a team dedicated to customer care. So if there's something that happens, yes, we're going to talk to Joris and you're going to talk to Marmon Mock and Joris first, but the MRTA team will jump right on it because they're trained to do that. It's dry construction. I think I mentioned the MRTA panels in the last line. The MRTA panels are fabricated in a factory. And when you stop and think about how concrete's installed, and so if you have to put a water jet in a concrete wall, you have to place it along with the rebar, then you have to form concrete around it. In the MRTA panel system, those are all fabricated in a factory and brought to the site and assembled. You're just going to get a tighter product. And so that's why there's a market for the MRTA system. And the warranty, it's second from the bottom, 25 years on the tank. 25 years on the tank. And I think each of you knows about another district here in town who had a problem with the pool, but MRTA will stand behind this with a 25-year warranty. So there's some other technical aspects. I think those are the key elements. But that's why we believe that's a good investment if you can make it.
Lay those numbers on me again.
All right?
Total numbers if we went that route.
So total, for the revised budget, then option A would be $26,748,099. So that would be
$99, huh?
That's the
99.
two pools with the MRTA?
Two pools with a MRTA with expanded seating. And so that would put
My
us over,
pen nearly won't write that much.
that's about 5.6 million. That would have to come down.
Is that the number y'all were talking last time we met? Because I don't know why I'm thinking more was a little less.
Well, we were
Like
figuring
4.
about 4 to 5.
That's what I was thinking, like 4.
But as we got people on board, we got pricing, and as we move the building, and the building gets bigger, the seating gets bigger, and then just getting MRTA and get up-to-date pricing for MRTA. This is all up-to-date pricing because now we have a contractor kind of looking into the numbers. So we got real numbers on poles that are being built right now.
For an extra $1.5 million, you're looking at like $40,000 over a 25-year period. I mean,
So what I would need before I would make the decision is, of course, what our fund balance is sitting at right now,
Absolutely.
but also what you're going to be asking of
What
us the
other-
rest
what
of the
other
year,
things, yeah.
because
Well,
that's a big chunk of
Yes,
money
ma'am.
out of fund balance, $6 million. So,
And I know that this has been a priority project for the district, and so we're gonna do our very best with our architects and our other projects. I don't foresee, the only other project we felt would have been over budget was Southwest High School Phase 3. And you saw kind of what, going back and working and getting to those numbers, we most definitely could get into budget, without asking for any funds for that project. The only other one that would be something close to that would be Scope. The rest of the projects, the tracks, the ACs and gyms, those are pretty straightforward. I think we have plenty of room in those budgets. Unforeseen things like we had a storm Friday night, so there's some things that I need to talk to y'all about that had happened, and those things I can't predict, but I can tell you exactly what, as far as projects and things that we have coming down the road that are even non-bond projects, I can definitely get you a list. And then we can prioritize, and if this is where we want to focus, this is where we focus.
and earlier you said you were able to put money back into the budget. What'd you say, like $7 million?
7 million.
Okay, of
7
that,
million and the 2 million that was rollover, so
Right.
it's roughly 5.
okay, of that 5 million, have you already, like, is that being eyed for something else already? You know, like,
This project,
just this project?
this project.
Well, this is a high visibility project. Everybody's going to be watching it and everybody knows about it, and we know that. And we have to keep that in mind. But what I wanted to ask was, because I don't know, when a concrete pool fails, what happens? What does that mean? You've got a crack in it, it's losing water. What does that mean?
So when a concrete pool fails, it's likely you have cracks in the concrete, which is really the substrate. Your first lining and defense against the leak is the plaster, right? So you're going to have cracks in both places, in the plaster and the concrete. The way you fix it is you drain that pool, and you go in and you remove an area of plaster. If you can identify a singular location for that leak, then you'll remove the plaster around there, and you'll actually remove some of the concrete, and you'll do an epoxy injection.
Mm-hmm.
And that may have to be done 2 or 3 years. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But in general, plaster will last about 6 to 8, say 7 years. And you're going to have to take the plaster out regardless. No matter how good that installation is, that is the life of that material.
The complete plaster, you mean? You have to remove all of it and replace
Yes.
it?
Yeah, Once you replat it.
Corn and
Trust me, I know
irrigate.
I have a gun I pull. I can vouch for that.
Right.
If the Martha pool fails, then what does that mean? Or does it fail? Can it? I assume it
Well,
could
there's not many
fail.
failures. So,
But assume it does.
But if we assume it does, then you've got a joint in the inner lining of the pool, and that joint has to be reset.
Mhm.
And so they're high strength epoxies as part of the system. The panels are actually made where the polyvinyl sheet is laminated to the stainless steel back. And they're a bit, the expense of the materials is that material itself, but that's why it lasts so long. It's because it's a highly durable material.
Another thing, what makes this Mercer pool, I think, pool, it wasn't, you know, that's going to be above ground where we have storage like that, or if there's a leak, you can go in there to see that on the outside?
Yeah, I think
The
that's
siding, right?
also a good
Right
point.
there, see how you're saying, see, that's underground, so we could have a crew going there, if there's any leaks, we'll know where the leaks are if you have any problems. You can fix them.
And I quantified that in the analysis is that if you have a plumbing leak on a concrete pool,
Sure, that's what I'm
you
saying.
backfilled against it, like you see in the top
Right there,
photo.
your jet will be right
You're
there.
going to have to excavate that out. But if we build the Murtha pool with a crawl space, you can walk down there, find that leak, and it'll cost you a fraction of what it's going to cost.
Sure, to take the jet out, the pumps or
Exactly.
whatever, anything you need.
If we told you today that we would like to see a 5 rather than a 6 there, could you in charge get together and make that a 5?
A 5?
Yeah, rather than a 6.
And a
That's-
five.
You are supposed to be working
That's why we have
together,
Rusty
aren't
here
you?
today.
We got a new man right there, and he hadn't sit and worked
Sitting
at
right over there.
anything at all. You had to be able to knock a number off.
Oh,
Maybe the 99, Mike, that you talked about.
Brandon,
No, no, you
what are
knocked a 6
what
off
are
to make
the
a
area
5.
competition
Right,
goals?
use that
you guys
map.
we're going to do
Are
everything
they
we can.
Murthas?
And if
Well,
we
Well, when are you gonna come back and knock it off and make a 5 where we can start?
whatever we're asked to do, that's what we're going to do.
When can you report that you're done that?
Come back and make a 5 into or 6 into a 5?
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Okay. And when do you need to start?
When do you want to swim?
I won't ever touch that water in my life.
I am, I want to belly flop off the top of the.
I think one thing that's proven right now is to understand that we're in the clouds. That everything we're doing right now is just conceptual based. For us to become a tight unit of what you're asking, we really need to further the design along. And for us to further that design along, we kind of need some direction from the board of saying, do you want a 50 meter or do you want a 25 meter? And if you want a 50 meter, we can work, given that direction, not putting words in your mouth, but we can work towards that to come back and say, okay, if you want a 50
want to take anything out of your wish list, but we are talking about $1 million, by the way. So, we want to
That was $1
make
million?
sure that, now, I will tell you that they've got extensive experience in competition pools. We have some experience. We're in the clouds, and we are conservative with our approach at this point, because nobody wants to come in here in a month and a half and say, I need another $3 million. So,
Yeah, sure. All right, we tell you we want the whole works right now. You drop that to 5.
I don't know that we can do that in 2 weeks.
Well, how long is that gonna take? We've
Well-
gotta build this thing, That
Yes.
man right there has to build.
I think what Rusty, I'm going to restate what he said. The further we go in the design process, the closer we can get to turning that 6 into a 5. But we don't know today, and we won't know in 2 weeks. What we do need to
You
know
said
is.
2 weeks.
I'm sorry?
Didn't you say 2 weeks?
I did, but you asked.
Butts don't get the job done.
Well, we're in the budgeting phase.
Walter and reincarnated.
How long does it take you to get 2 weeks?
Can I huddle up with my?
Huddle up, anything to get that down to 5.
Mike, let's talk about one more thing, because there's another option that we haven't even talked about yet.
What's that option?
It's the dehumidification of the area versus a non-dehumidification.
But we want the best.
No, wait a minute. Did that include the, no,
Yeah, I was gonna
it
say-
doesn't include
So
that.
we haven't even got there yet. I think we really probably need to talk about what it is we're going for. And if you want the works, to me, that includes a dehumidified pool area. And if that's the process, or that's what the need is, and that's what the direction is, then we do need to, because right now we have those numbers, right? But if we're going to have to cut that number by a certain percentage, we really need to understand how we're going to go around it.
If the reason I said 2 weeks is because I was assuming if we have a budget, then we're going to have to decide what scope gets to that budget. But if you're asking us to do everything and reduce it, I don't know how to do that until we get to go take hard bids, and that takes time.
And Mike, that dehumidification is about a $2 million option. So now we're not going from a 6 to a 5, we're going from an 8 to a 5. And that's going to be extremely hard.
And I would say that I just visited Walker Pool on Friday, and Walker Pool is a 50-meter stretch.
Yes.
50-meter stretch, Murta Pool, natural ventilation, and it's a phenomenal facility. So the dehumidification piece, that's something we've had to bring more research and let you go see Walker Pool, because right now it's natural ventilation, correct?
That's correct. And it's designed to in the future, you can also add the dehumidification later when budget allows.
I thought that was so important because of heating the pool.
The water's going to be heated regardless.
Correct.
Regardless. That's all in.
And you're going to have heating in the building if it's cold.
Yeah.
The dehumidification is to get to.
It's air conditioning. It's
It's just for the pool area, it's not for anything else. It's just for the pool area.
right.
I think
Structural
y'all need
design
to
is
come
to
back
put big
and talk
doors.
about that then here in the next maybe 2 weeks.
We have it already.
Is Walker Pool the only
So-
one
so
that
what
has
is that
the
other number?
dehumidification?
2 million, roughly?
Natural ventilation.
There are others.
20,
So none of them have it.
2.3
Some
million.
have dehumidification, some have
29.
natural ventilation.
29,000, lower right. That's everything. That's,
Northeast has 2 natatoriums. We worked on both of them. The Josh Davis natatorium was naturally ventilated. They had some fans for mechanical ventilation. It was not dehumidification or air conditioning. We came back in and added it to that
I
building.
thought none of them had them. I mean, my
No, they
kids
do.
were swimmers. I spent a lot of time at those pools,
Yeah.
like lots of time. So I don't remember any of them being air conditioned.
Yeah, I mean,
The natatorium.
it's not going to be cold like this in there.
Yeah.
The natatorium we designed at Texas A&M is fully conditioned space.
He's not a car salesman.
Brandon,
Yes, sir.
when do you guys need certain answers to certain questions
We
like
would
that?
really like to have some direction today to say, you want a 50-meter Murta pool.
And I want to remind the board that part of this facility too is going to be a revenue generator as well. And so we will be able to encumber some of the funds back by leasing other practice facilities. So folks are going to come to a place that there's the opportunity for practice, different times, so.
Oh, an answer?
At some
Oh,
point,
yeah,
we
yeah.
recover some
Yeah.
of the funds.
In my opinion, if we want all that, we need that 50-meter pool. I mean,
Yeah, we really, I think we're in agreement about the size of the pool and pretty much of the Murtha, right? Because, you know,
because of the
There are
cost
some
Because of
distinct
the-
advantages there.
right.
cost savings.
But, I mean, I know you're not like car salesmen, we just can't ask you to give us I mean, I don't know that that's reasonable, but I do think it's reasonable to say we would like a little bit better price than, well, because originally it was 4 something, so I come in thinking 4 something, and then all of a sudden, it's almost 6,
Yes, ma'am.
plus another 2.3
For the
for the dehumidification thing. So, of course, we want to be proud of our pool, but at the same time, now we're up to, if we do everything we want, we're up to what, 8.5 or
And I think
8
that-
million or
I
something?
think on the district side, the dehumidification piece is a want, not
Okay,
necessarily a need.
so say
Yeah.
6 million.
Is it-
It's just,
How much you're
Big
doing out there,
hit.
Brandon?
I
So you
think
take that off, you're 5.6.
27 to 27?
it's $2.3 million for the
okay.
So if you want a 50 meter with 2 pools, Murtha, the 750 seating, we need, right now, based on very conservative, high level in the clouds, 5.6 million for fund balance. And we can do the project.
And that total would be what, the 27.8 you're saying?
26,
Yeah,
748,
what-
and that's based on right now preliminary budget numbers.
last year.
Well, if we do the
Yeah.
50-meter, we have to have the seating.
Correct.
That's a definite, but not the dehumidification. That's
That is
that's an.
I would say that would be a want.
Now, could we add that later? Is it possible to
Correct.
build it so that it can be added?
That's how the Walker Pool is now at Northeast. It's really nice. I think we may have to go visit it so you can see kind of how it's set up.
Right.
Is exactly what we want. Besides, the pool's a little different, but it's a 50 meter. They have it like a side pool. It looks like a side pool, but it's all together.
I would highly recommend, if you can make time, we would be glad to host an information session over there.
So you're $6 million over, just to round it off, of not including, we're not going to talk about the dehumidifier thing. And you're telling us that you put $5 million back into our budget last year.
Correct. Yes.
So we would be really looking at $1 million that we didn't, that we're, yeah.
You look at it like that.
Boy, is that a way to look at it?
That's the way.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you can do it. This is a little late for this question. Don't look at me like that. But how much water does a pool like this use?
700,000 gallons.
700,000? About 2 acre feet.
I think we just go.
And does it not,
ask them to
does
cut
it
down
kind
on
of
the
stay with that, or
I
do you
think
have
we
to add
just
water
go
to
with
it?
what he's presenting
You
now.
have to add some, you have makeup water, but it's not anywhere approaching 700,000.
Some kind of cost. savings.
700,000.
Either way, we're gonna have to do.
I mean, you're gonna add
the dehumidifier.
hundreds of gallons in a year,
No, we don't right now.
low hundreds.
I don't think Brandon thinks we need it.
So do you have to
But
buy
at
that
least then
water?
they can keep moving.
Well, yeah, you buy it from yourself, don't you? Or you buy it from?
That location.
Yeah.
We had a well.
It's not something that would cost us that much.
Oh, we did.
Like I said, we don't need those.
Well, I'm just curious, if there was one
Yeah.
But that's,
way that saved more water than the other,
Let's
but
just do it.
I don't guess it does.
There's a minuscule amount of evaporation on the indoor facility.
Uh-huh.
So he's right, you're not gonna experience a
What are you gonna
huge
say?
water bill compared to, 700,000 gallons. You're not gonna spend anywhere close to that.
I think James can get us the water.
All right, we've
He'll truck
talked,
it over.
we've talked, and we want you to go with what we talked about today only.
Okay.
And
Not the
come
fee.
back whenever you can, minus that 1 million we talked about,
25.7.
and go on and start working on it, and we'll make the decision on the other later on.
Okay.
That'll give you a time to start working together and know what you need to do to begin with.
Very good.
Whenever
Well,
you
Rusty-
get a chance, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, come back and we'll look at it again.
We'll probably have them come back at the February brown bag.
But Rusty,
That'll be-
Mike, you like the 25.7 though, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I love that 25/7, but, you came out of the grave, what else can you do?
I'm happy you did that.
Welcome back, Rusty.
Not many people come out of the grave like you did.
But I do want to caution, we're not the pool experts, right? So we don't know really, we're just looking at money.
Sure.
So we don't want you to cut things out and then we're not happy with the pool. So you have to fight for those things that you think are going to give us a great pool, because we don't want a not fantastic thing, right?
No, this is gonna be a great pool.
Yeah,
Don't cut out any restrooms.
yeah.
Put it on in there.
And put them at both ends of the facility.
Or make them co-ed.
Don't make them co-ed, please.
We still have.
All right, guys,
offices in
thank
that
you.
Building, right?
Yes, we still have all the support spaces, lockers, the offices, all of it.
Stadium's co-ed.
Well, have a good day.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rusty, 25/7. Crank them a little bit. The worst thing they tell you is no.
We're gonna use it for.
The worst thing is go to work for Gary Poole.
Yeah. We have to spend the money.
Do we have anything else? Construction. All right.
Thanks,
Under
Rusty.
Government Code 551.146-122, we go into executive session. All right, we come back into regular session, and it's 8 minutes to 1. We go to item 4, consider approval of superintendent's recommendation.
I move we approve the superintendent's recommendation on personnel.
Second.
Third.
Motion's been
Whatever.
made and seconded. Everybody in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next thing is TAS MUSA partnership with Southwest.
Yes, we're going to talk about that. Before we do that, I just want to, since you guys just took a board action and duly called meeting, introduced, I know that Coach Wagner's going to go back and talk to him, but our new head football coach and campus coordinator for Southwest High School is going to be Coach Alex Franco, and so congratulations. We plan to bring Coach Franco to our January 21st meeting, at which time we'll be able to introduce them individually to our board members. So we're going to get a time to really introduce him to the community and to our district, but great choice, excellent coach, and we're very proud of him. Moving to our next agenda item, and keeping in line with having our conversation around the potential partnership with Texas A&M, San Antonio, Southwest ISD, in alignment and in conjunction with the Aspire MOU that Tamusa has with the 7 districts on the south side of San Antonio. We want to, I know there have been some questions beyond the other information that we covered about why do we want to consider such a potential 1882 agreement with Texas A&M, where we contract with them to help basically provide oversight for Southwest Legacy and creating some seamless pathways for students beyond their high school experience. We wanted to concentrate on the one component of building teacher capacity, and we wanted to do that through some data. And so if you guys recall, some of the backstory to this is we had conversations with Texas A&M about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, when they were looking to invite a charter system school to build a building onto their territory and their property, so that they can kind of work on a teacher preparation incubator opportunity with that charter school. And so in that conversation, we basically and collectively, the ISDs on the south side said, hey, why not us? Why are you going this direction? Which created Texas A&M to pause their thinking and their trajectory to engage in a conversation and say, how can we create these partnerships and backyard strategies with our local ISDs, which led to other conversation, which evolved into the Aspire MOU and a signature on that, which brought us here to this conversation today. And so where we have Southwest High School and opportunities for our students to take advanced academics, that has been built over the last 6 decades. Matter of fact, 65 years worth of building that capacity there. Where we have an infancy new high school in Southwest Legacy, that same capacity of where our students have opportunity at Southwest High School is different at Southwest Legacy High School. And so one of the opportunities in this partnership with TAMUSA is to build teacher capacity in offering advanced academic opportunities for Southwest Legacy students. And so that's the one piece we wanted to concentrate on today, to provide some information to try to answer the why in that piece. And so I'm going to turn it over to Dalila and Zali because they have some of this information. And then we're going to continue the conversation over time because we know one of the questions you guys asked, why Southwest Legacy? Why not at middle school? Why not at elementary? And so we think that our opportunity and potential through partnership really involves the high school at a whole different level than it could any other level. And so.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Versta. So in this presentation, we do want to share with you some of the potentials and possibilities, not only building the capacity for our staff, but also the opportunities for our students. So I'm going to have Zaleen just take us through the slides.
So just to cover the data, we wanted to present to you, one, our current faculty makeup, also the dual credit hours earned at both high schools, so you can see the comparison, and then some of the professional development opportunities that exist within San Antonio. I do have to say that I do appreciate their approach when we met with them. Also, Mr. Guidry has met with them as the Southwest Legacy High School principal. And they've really asked us, what do you need to enhance our program? They're not trying to change our existing structure. It's just adding that pipeline at Southwest Legacy High School to really grow our dual credit teachers, our credentials for dual credit. So currently right now, we have 13 teachers, full-time Southwest ISD employees, that can offer dual credit at the high school level. And we have 3 at Southwest Legacy High School. We do have some online classes, but our teachers are proctors and they do not have the credentials to teach dual credit. But our total for both high schools are 16 teachers. So if we look at total hours earned, this also includes class of 2019, our class that just graduated. We have Southwest High School and Southwest Legacy High School, and we have Southwest High School with 3,144 more than Southwest Legacy High School. So Southwest Legacy knows that there is a big discrepancy, so they have reached out to UT On-Ramps, which is a dual credit provider through UT, to offer dual credit opportunities at Southwest Legacy High School. Unfortunately, that does not fix our problem. UT will not, On-Ramps will not create opportunities for our staff to be credentialed. It's just an opportunity for our students to earn dual credit credit at the high school.
Is any of that due to the fact that we didn't have seniors until last year at, or we didn't have seniors the first year, right?
Right, we didn't.
So, is any of that due to that?
No, one of the different
lack of the hours or
Less
whatever?
students, yes. They had less students.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean,
But here the hardship for us, and this would be for almost any high school, and this is why it's taken a good culture and the work that has happened with Southwest High School, is when you hire faculty, in order for them to become adjunct professors, they have to have 18 hours in their master's for that content area. So for us to first of all hire, and then that's why in the process, in order for us to start working with that community of teachers, is onboarding teachers that are going to be willing to go back to school and get those 18 hours in their masters. So for example, Legacy being so young, right now for the teachers that we do have, the majority of them, the ones that did move from Southwest High School, but then we have also had to hire a lot of new teachers. So Legacy is not set up to offer that dual credit.
There are 2 ways to get instructors to be able to offer what we like to hang our hat on the rack is dual credit, because we know that's a benefit to our students. And we do offer AP, and On-Ramps is a great opportunity for some students. But dual credit is really where students garner a lot of their college credit and during their high school experience to carry beyond. And you can either hire a person with those credentials who has the 18 master level content hours, or you grow your own. And over time, we know there's a struggle right now in hiring those folks who have those credentials right now, and we know that we're not the only school. We hear it from other districts. We also hear it from our community college of Palo Alto, where they're not able to find instructors to kind of support the programs we're offering in that CAST-M. So growing your own is what's happened at Southwest High School over time, and it's going to happen at Southwest Legacy too. Is those folks who stay in the system for multiple years, that we get them on a pathway to start garnering those hours so they can become that dual credit teacher of record in the future. But it's going to take some time to get there. So we're talking about the time from where they are at 3 to how do we get them to 13, and what does that look like? And so that number you saw, I don't know if that was just counting one grade level or all the students or the inception of when Southwest Legacy started, but students can take dual credit as early as sophomore year, freshman year even. But it would count more students at Southwest High School because I had 4 grade levels than when Legacy started with the 3 grade levels for that 1 year. There's probably 500 less students, 600 less students.
So this is just to show you our master schedule right now with on-ramps through UT. We have 5 teachers at Southwest Legacy who are the proctor for the course. And then we do have 2 at Southwest High School. So we have about 83 at Legacy High School students that are enrolled in UT on-ramps, and about 38 at Southwest High School. And just to give you an idea of what credits were earned through on-ramps, we have from 2017 and 2018, we have for Southwest High School, we had an increase of 77 dual credit hours that were earned. And for Legacy High School from 17-18 to 18-19, we had 99.
What's on-ramps again?
On-ramps is a dual credit opportunity offered through UT. UT is the teacher of record, but we do have a Southwest Legacy or Southwest High School teacher who is there as a proctor to help students in case they have any questions or need that extra support. So they do go through intensive PD in order to be prepared for the course.
And so is on-ramps not working?
Yeah, so on this picture, what we wanted to share is that at Legacy, the students are also interested in taking dual credit, and they're taking advantage of every opportunity that is present.
Right.
And so in order for us to be able to still offer dual credit, we were looking and searching for any other opportunity for them. So this is why you're going to see bigger numbers at Legacy, because at Southwest High School, they are getting that face-to-face instruction with our own teachers.
Right. But so they're already doing the on-ramp thing, and then I'm still just not comfortable about turning over our school to another entity to be controlled by. So if they're already getting the on-ramp opportunity, and then we also have time to build our own dual credit teachers, then why would we want to have no control over that school? Lloyd?
Say it again. I was just looking at the numbers.
The whole idea is that we're going to be giving up control of Legacy, right? We're not going to have any say as a board what goes on at Legacy.
Through your contract, you would, and your evaluation.
No, I know the contract and evaluation, but I'm saying, why can't we build our own capacity for dual credit teachers versus signing something that, in essence, takes control of that whole area away from the school?
Yeah.
I'm just very wary, I don't know that.
Yeah, I share that, and I agree with you. I understand the angst that would brings us angst. The system's set up that if you want to garner these opportunities that way, and so to answer your question, the best I can is we can build that capacity. It may take 10 years. I know it's taken Southwest High School multiple years to build their capacity up, versus when you partner with a higher education entity like Tamusa, that they're going to be there and they want to make it work. And so they may knock 10 years down to 4 years where we're able to build that capacity because the additional funds we're going to generate through the state of Texas forcing us to go into this agreement is going to allow them to put a teacher of record on the campus. It's going to allow them to offer tuition support opportunity to those teachers who want to garner their dual credit capacity. And so Texas A&M, by being an involved partner, by being in that contract with us, is going to move mountains to make sure it works, versus us knocking on the door and say, hey, we have an idea, what can we do here? So Can we do it over time? Yes, we can do it. If we want to do it expeditiously, that partnership would be the best way to go to get that capacity built much quicker. Therefore, more kids benefit because there's more instructors, there's more opportunity and potential for students to garner college credit while they're in high school.
And does this affect UIL or anything? Does UIL stay the same? Everything stays the same?
It does. But I do appreciate what you're saying. I mean, I agree with you 100%. I wish this is not the only way it was set up, but it is. And so you're not wrong. You're absolutely 100% right in your comment. It brings me angst to even ask to consider it. Yeah.
Well, and I thought we didn't have to give up a lot this way versus back then when we were thinking of doing something similar as a board, you know.
Yeah, the reality is you're going to get a different, in my opinion, no, I'm not speaking on behalf of Tamusa, they're going to be different partners because now they're heavily invested in making sure it works. The state is pushing that. We, higher education, we don't want you to get off the hook. There's not enough kids graduating from college in the state of Texas, and it's like you guys get a free pass. So we're going to require you guys to get more involved in those high schools and not give you a free pass so that more students retain in college over time and successfully graduate over time. So it all kind of comes full circle by them. And to do that, to entice that, we're going to offer these funds available for you so that you can put some things together. So they will definitely make sure that our teachers can get their college hours without creating a financial burden. They'll make sure that they have a teacher of record on campus. They'll make sure that they open up pathways and programs and weekend classes for teachers. So they're going to be different, honestly. I mean, they're good people, but if you just knock on the door and you're asking for one thing, I think you're going to get one answer versus they're an engaged, involved partner. You're going to get a whole different answer from them. And that's just my opinion. And so I think what we're looking for is how do we build that capacity as quick as we can, as soon as we can, as more students benefit from it. And that means we have to relinquish for a little while this contract that has a end time to it. Then is that the best case for our students to be able to be in a better position later on, the ones that are sitting in 6th and 7th and 8th grade right now in our middle schools.
Lauren, Dr. Versa, you probably may not have wanted to go get this deep yet, but can I just ask, what kind of decisions would that board or that governing body be making that could be, that we would normally make, or could be in conflict with what we would normally make?
Yeah, I don't have a crystal ball. In my conversations with the leadership at Texas A&M San Antonio, according to them, that we should never notice a change. Their only interest is to help us build capacity over time. Their only interest is to create a teacher preparation program on that campus for those kids, not only at Southwest Legacy, but in San Antonio, who want to be involved in that program. This is what it looks if you go to this high school. This is how it transitions to Texas A&M, so that you stay in our college and graduate and become a Texas certified educator. Do I know that what I'm told and what happens in my lifetime have been different? That's happened before too. I have no reason not to believe the folks I've talked to there. It says, governing wise, they want to relinquish everything back. They don't want nothing to do with it, other than take the additional funds that we get from being in this partnership and use it at Southwest Legacy to create teacher capacity and opportunities for kids.
So, can I assume, it's not a very good thing to do, but that they're going to be focused on curriculum, on academic programs?
That, according to them, will be their only focus.
Not athletic, or?
No. They want nothing to do.
Okay, nothing to do with...
Yeah. We asked them if we would have to become Jaguars, and they said no. we would remain Titans.
They wouldn't be determining the rules and regulations for the school or the handbook,
no,
or entry requirements, or teachers?
No. Well, they may have some say-so in teachers. If they think that they're trying to build capacity, and they have a teacher who may not be willing, may be unable, but unwilling to, they may have some comments and conversation about that. Their governing structure would include a member of Southwest ISD staff as well, which cannot be the superintendent, cannot be a board member, but it would be somebody from our curriculum office, I would assume, or our HR office. So we would have a person on that board that sits there as well. Would they get into personnel? I don't see it, but I can't say they won't.
Yeah, I was talking, I didn't hear what you just said. You don't think that they would be making the hiring decision?
Could they fire somebody?
Yes. And
Their board could
purposes-
fire a teacher from Legacy?
Yes.
Even though it's our employee? Or it's not our employee?
Yes, I mean, technically.
They are
yes.
our employee.
Is A&M going to pay their salary too?
No.
Because if we're paying it, how come they can fire?
Yeah, because we're going to keep those funds that come in for ADA for those students. They're going to be working with the additional funds that come in from being in a partnership, which is about $750 per student right now. And we talked about just doing a smaller campus, but to do what they want to accomplish, if we did a smaller campus, they wouldn't be able to do their program. But to answer your question, they would have the same authority as this board. You know, a board can't recommend someone to be terminated from the district, only a superintendent can. And the superintendent can't terminate anyone, only the board can. So there's a check and balance.
So you would say, so you're still in charge over there at Legacy? Are you still the superintendent of Legacy?
Absolutely, yes.
And so they would just be recommending, just like we do, I mean, just like you do to us? You'd,
Yes.
but, so then they have their own HR? How does that, I mean, how can,
Yeah.
how can we, the board can't even do
And
any
so
of
in the
that?
February brown bag, I want to bring back the whole, with our attorney, bring back the whole governance structure of it. Our goal today was really to try to answer more of the why, because I know you guys said, well, why are you even looking at this? This is the why, in offering advanced academic opportunities for our students. There's a why in there.
Yeah, so,
So what I'd like to do in February, because I think you're asking good questions, really great questions, I'd like to bring back the whole governance structure so we can say, this is who would be on the board, this would be their authority level through the contract, this is where this board would be able to evaluate that board and place them on notice if they're kind of going off grid or not doing what we think is reflective of Southwest ISD. So we can null and void the contract, but you have to put them on warning first. I don't think it ever get there, but I'm just trying to tell you the technical aspects of it. So February is going to concentrate on the actual governance structure. By that time, Tamusa would name who would be on their board, and we'd be able to say, these are the folks from Southwest who would be on that governing structure.
And when you say board, are you talking about like us board? Like, well, they're not elected apparently, they're
our board.
appointed. But I guess what I'm asking is, the way we work is HR will make a recommendation and then to you, and then you bring it to the board, right? So I would want to know who over there is going to be making the recommendation from HR or curriculum or just all that stuff. How is that going to be working, right? Because, I mean, we don't fire anybody. We just go based on what you're recommending.
Right, we
So
don't really hire anybody.
Right, we don't hire anybody except you, but are they going to have a say in who gets hired and fired is my question, because we don't.
Yes.
So I don't want to be giving a board authority to do that.
No control of that?
Yeah.
Who they hire and fire?
No, but we don't. I'm just asking, because I don't want to get in a situation where they're just governing themselves over there and saying, well, we don't like Ms. Brown because she's not a good teacher, so we're going to fire her. Because that don't work that way.
It's a great question. And so I'd like to, I don't want to give it an answer, because I don't know completely how that works. I would assume, again, I don't like to use that word, but I would assume it's the same way we do it here, that recommendation governing body could not just pick and choose who they want, but I would like to hear from our attorney exactly what that looks like according to their their analysis of the governing structure.
That's a good idea. I forgot we wanted to have some information from the attorneys.
Yeah.
And at the same time, I wanted to ask you, since you said the state is moving us in this direction, are there other districts that are already doing this with other universities exactly, this same type of situation?
There's a few. They're small, kind of little programs within the school, maybe a private school. This, according to Dr. Shapiris and Dr. Mattson, this would be the first model where a traditional university and a traditional local high school have done it to the level we're looking at doing it. And so it could stand as a model for others, or it could stand as a warning to others.
I'm just concerned.
I think
I hope it has nothing to do with a consolidation plan in the future. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think, my opinion, I think it actually kind of moves away from the consolidation conversation, because it shows that we can partner. Now, do you have to partner at a level through this partnership, where this board contracts with another board? I don't think it's necessary, but I think if we can work together and create some opportunities to move this along faster for the sake of our kids, that's who's going to benefit from this. Is we're going to have more capacity sooner than if we just built it over time ourselves, and our kids are going to transition much smoother from Legacy, even Southwest High School, to Texas A&M San Antonio, because we're going to all learn a lot, because we're going to be in the same room talking about these are the kids that we're working with here and what can we do for them. So I see it being a good thing. I hope the state moves away from forcing us to be able to have to contract with another entity, governing structure to do this, because I don't think you have to. I think we can do these things. But there's a benefit to generating revenue that Texas A&M is going to take that revenue and push it back into Southwest Legacy to move these things along.
Yeah, that's another thing that concerns me, though. Anytime the government gives you money, there's always strings attached to that money. Just like we learned with our health insurance.
Yeah.
Sign up with us, we're going to do great things for you, and now we can't even get out of it.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
But I trust Texas A&M. I have no reason not to trust them. They've always done what they said they're going to do. It's been great conversations. They've always stepped forward. They've done some great PD opportunities with our school so far. They've been really good people to work with. But according to Dr. Shapiris, you will not notice any difference at this level. It's still Southwest Legacy High School home of the Fighting Titans at the end of the day.
Okay.
But I think that discussion, with somebody there about how this governance would work would clear up a lot of questions that we have. I look forward to that discussion.
And I agree with you. I think today we wanted to show you guys what capacity looks like in opportunities for dual credit, and I think to me the kind of the tipping factor is what does that governing structure look like, and what are we giving away through this contract. So I agree with you, and we will bring that in February. This is the slide up here is basically taking the graduating class of 2020. These are our rank order students, 1 through 10 at Southwest Legacy versus 1 through 10 at Southwest High School. You can see how many dual credits were accrued from the Southwest High School top 10 versus how many dual credits were accrued at Southwest Legacy. Gives you an idea. It's almost about half, or right at half, or 40% less. And so what we're trying to do is we're looking at this data, and we're trying to come up with a plan to change that data so it's more a comparison in a shorter period of time than normal. And this is one aspect of what Texas A&M San Antonio said they can help with, along with other things that's going to help us.
So is it possible that at any time they can surpass that if we go into this agreement?
It's possible, but this is where Southwest High School could benefit too. According to Dr. Shapiris, what we do at Southwest Legacy can definitely be used as a model at Southwest High School as well. And other teachers can tap into the PD, and they can tap into, they may have to pay a little more, maybe a little different tuition, but they can still participate. We're going to also lose some capacity in the future at Southwest High School because we have teachers who are offering these, who've been built over time, who are going to retire out here in the next handful of years too. So we got to get ready for the next generation.
Maybe we need to visit our pay. Maybe we need to offer big stipends instead of just for athletics. We need to offer big stipends for these people that are willing to get those extra.
And we should explain how we do that. We do flow through. So when our teachers teach dual credit, because those students take dual credit courses, there's a fee that comes to the district. Some districts put it in a general fund. We always have and continue to flow through to the teacher.
Right, I know, but I mean, when you really need somebody, then you have to look at compensation.
Yeah.
If we need more dual credit teachers, we've got to pay them more.
As part of our planning in the budget, Brendan and I have been working on a plan to actually make teaching dual credit at Southwest ISD a very attractive
Yeah,
piece,
that's, yeah.
especially compared with another campus in our district that offers a pretty hefty stipend. And so we're losing some of those teachers to that campus. And so we're looking at making those stipends pretty substantial so that more teachers not only want to teach that, but that more teachers decide to go get their credential to come back and teach. And so,
yeah.
And then just the last part is just professional development opportunities that A&M has offered to us. We do have, outside of 1882, A&M professors did contact Southwest Legacy because there was a need, the principal of the academic dean expressed the need for that support for the AP program. So they've been working with the teachers, and the math instructor at A&M has been providing support as needed, ongoing support. In addition, we have February 17th. We'd like to see another professional development with our social studies teachers. We don't have a full-time social studies coordinator at CNI. So they have volunteered to do a primary resource professional development because we know that's one of our deficits when we look at the needs of our district. So they will be facilitating that for our 4 middle school campuses. Another benefit is that not only will Southwest Legacy benefit from the PD, but also will Southwest High School and other high school teachers that are needing that dual credit support. And I do have to say, as a former high school principal, we appreciate all the opportunities that online and on-ramps have to offer. However, you can never replace the quality of a good teacher where you have face-to-face instruction.
Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So our goal was to just continue the conversation. Thank you for the questions, and so we know to bring the governance structure in February brown bag and really kind of get in depth in that and provide you guys what that would look like in the event. This is the direction we decide to go, and what kind of scope would that kind of review board have. That's all I have, unless y'all have. And if you have anything else, just either give me a call or shoot me an email so that we can kind of roll that into February, because we're getting to at some point here in the near future, we're going to have to start making some decisions.
And is this a decision that we make? Is this something we have to vote on, or y'all decide?
This board would contract with that board, yes. It's ultimately your decision.
All right, the last thing on the agenda is a student outreach update.
We have Miss Marie Phelps, who has transitioned over into working with our student outreach services program, and would like to provide an update. Her tentacles touch a number of things in our district, but very proud. I know I sent you guys some pictures of what the line looks like on the weekends when we're doing some outreach opportunities for our community, and so she's going to give the board an update on that, and so we'll turn it over to Marie at this point. While she's trying to bring up her slides, we'll see if she can talk and do it at the same time.
I'm gonna jump in real quick, it's okay? I put on y'all's desk the fund balance updates. I wanted to mention, I didn't get a chance to mention before the construction rate updates or after. We did have a pretty wild storm on Friday night. And really in the Redneck and Legacy area, we had multiple stands that sit on the Redneck field that destroyed, pole vault pits that we had put out for track. There's some quite a few items that weren't taking into account in the budget that we possibly have to replace. So I'm talking maybe $70,000 to $80,000 worth of damage that won't be covered by the insurance because we have insurance, but it's up to 100,000 per occurrence per site. So just wanted to put that in your mind.
What was it again?
The stands that sit on Resnick's
The
football
bleachers?
field, the bleachers.
I understand the bleachers were twisted up.
Yeah, they were twisted and shot all over the football field. The Resnick marquee sign got blown off. The pole-vault pit got blown across and got stuck on the goalpost. And the partitions that go with that rolled. So it was like some really high winds that happened over that area. Gladly, we didn't have any other damage, just some banners that we have up that got destroyed, but that's something we can take care of. So we want to give you the
I'm not sure where that's.
Happened to,
Okay, so before he comes up again, one of the things that we're both students right now, Student and Outreach Services, is our partnership with the mobile, we have a mobile food pantry, and it's due to our partnership with the Healing Place Church out of Bernie and the motorcycle ministry, club called Spawn. So last spring, I was approached by a former Southwest teacher, Irish Flynn, you might remember her, so she worked with us at Low College, science teacher. She works with the athletes a lot in her church in Bernie, and so she and the motorcycle ministry were looking for a school district to help to sponsor in order to provide food for the community. So we began this partnership in June. June was our first mobile pantry, and I'm going to show you some of the data that we have. The cars, they line up all the way around where CNI has been. That's the motorcycle ministry, the cars, volunteers. That's what's on our website right now. We change some pictures monthly. We have a lot of pictures. So our first mobile pantry was in June. And in June, we served, according to our numbers, 288 members of the community. We had 25 volunteers. July, we upped our numbers to 334 with 31 volunteers. And you can see the numbers keep rising. In September, we fed 365 people with 48 volunteers. October, over 542 volunteers.
Wow.
November was a very high month. We served almost 2,000, well, not almost 2,000, almost 1,200 folks. We had 57 volunteers. This is once a month on a Saturday. We try to do the third Saturday of every month for consistency. Initially, when they approached it, they wanted to maybe go to different campuses, but we thought that it would be better for our community to know that it was going to be a one spot. They know where to call, they know where to go. They definitely have their routine down now. In December, I worried about December. The numbers are a lot better than I thought because we did not realize that we were in conflict with Louisiana. And so that's what, we still had a great number of people there. They were lined up early. That morning, the gate was locked. We didn't have anybody opening the gate at first, but the people were still lined up. And so luckily we were able to open the gate right before the food truck got there. So we expect that the numbers are just going to continue to grow. We've got, the volunteers are community members, staff members, students. We have athletes from both Legacy and Southwest High School that have volunteered. We also have students from Resnick who volunteer. The athletes from there volunteer as well. And CAS STEM students come every month because there's a service component to what they do, so we know that we're always going to have CAS STEM students. It's wonderful if you would ever have the opportunity to come and volunteer. It's a good way to spend your morning.
our days, our lives are so busy and hectic. And Coach Wagner and his family was there, I think, the first one, and athletes have come ever since then. It's nice for the kids to see us there. It would be great if anybody who would like to volunteer, because you leave happy. And they're lined up early by 6:30 in the morning. I think our first car is there. The food truck generally arrives around 8 a.m. It takes a while for it to be unloaded, and then we get ready. We get everything ready, so the cars just have to come and drive through. They don't have to get out of their cars. We just put everything in the trunk and back seat, wherever it is that they wanted. We don't turn anybody away. We don't ask for driver's license, no utility bills. They just have to come. The only thing that the food pantry requires us to do is make sure that we serve. There has to be at least one adult representing each family. So I couldn't be in the car by myself because I'm preparing food for myself and for my sister. There's an adult for family. But other than that, there are no rules. So I encourage you to come and volunteer. We have one of our school-age parents, we oversee school-age parenting as well, was there volunteering 2 weeks before she delivered. That gives us all of this.
And when is it, Ms. Phelps? Is it on a set day?
It's on a yes, Saturday. I think I've got the flyers here with the next day to see them.
Is there a way to volunteer online, Marie?
Yes, yes, let me go back. There is. And here, click here to sign up. See, we've got all the dates for the next 4. February 4th.
You should do that as a board. You should come and
We used to
volunteer.
put please don't line up before 8:30 time. We just needed one parent for volunteer. We needed to get frustrated because it takes a while to load and be ready. We're generally ready to go about 9:30. But
Okay.
they got there at 6 or 6:30. So now we just put on the flyer that the food delivery truck is scheduled for 8 a.m. arrival, and then the food distribution will begin shortly after. We never know what we're going to get, since it is free. But there's always vegetables, and we get eggs, milk, meat, some bread. A lot of times we get cookies and other things that HEB donates. They're good, but they've been squashed a little, so they don't want to put them on the shelves. But people have been happy. I think the only time we've had a complaint was from somebody saying we had too much spinach. Kansas spinach.
Popeye.
That's what we received. We didn't only have spinach. So he asked me to please not have too much spinach. But I explained to them that we get what this truck to do, whatever they would do. But so this is how you can volunteer online, and once this is completed, I receive an email. That's me signing down. Any questions about it?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Excited about it. Oh, one more thing, the motorcycle ministry is wanting to expand. So right now, they're only working with us. They looked at Bernie a little bit, about where the plant was. But they said that we've got it down, we've got a lot of volunteers. And so they said that they don't need to spend all their time with us, and they want to branch out and see more of San Antonio. So they'd like to meet with you, Dr. Versa, and then hopefully you can take that on to other superintendents. And we're just excited that we're the pioneers that started here, and then think about how many people we can impact on one Saturday.
Marie also oversees our social workers, and I believe that with the additional positions that we have one at every campus, or almost one at every campus now, which is a really good point of pride for Southwest High School.
This is just a little, you can change it out.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
There's a card in there just for you, and if you will look at the card inside.
I need some spinach.
Might be able to have some in the, that reminds me of something else. Nobody ever leaves without food. There's been a couple of times when people have arrived right after everything's been distributed. And now that we have our on-site pantry, everybody said we come inside and then we can get some food from there. So nobody will be hungry.
Thank you.
But open your eyes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
The little pantry card again?
Yes.
Yeah, I want you to see what's inside.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's nice. A hand.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
The little
Oh,
We oversee the school's parenting program, so those little handprints or footprints are from the infants that are in our learning center here in Southwest High School. So that's their way of saying thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. How cute.
Can I have little kids here? I love little kids.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Superintendent, what are your 3 new things?
Just a reminder, sir, that next Monday, January 20th, is a faculty staff holiday celebrating MLK Day. And the following evening, we do have our normal, regular January 21st board meeting at 6 p.m. right here. So,
What day? You say
Tuesday.
Monday, it's Tuesday, isn't it?
Next
Monday, we have a staff student holiday. Tuesday, we have a board meeting.
Misunderstood, sir. Thursday.
Subcommittee Thursday.
Tonight, we have our first Legacy High School basketball girl, probably will break the 1,000-point barrier, so against Somerset, at Somerset, if y'all are interested.
Somerset's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I'll be with your husband tonight.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Beg your pardon? Anything else? We're adjourned at 1:31. You're only 1 minute over.